Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed in public comments that his goal for Israel's next military offensive in Gaza is the takeover and full Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territory. As we fast approach the 2-year anniversary of October 7th, after blaming Hamas for not sticking to ceasefires and not freeing Israeli hostages, Netanyahu has effectively confirmed what his most right-wing ministers have said all along, that their war is about annexing Gaza. Israel's security cabinet has approved Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plan. The proposal involves disarming Hamas, returning all remaining hostages, demilitarizing Gaza, taking control of the Strip, and establishing a civilian administration that is not Hamas or the Palestinian Authority. Under the plan, Israel will complete the evacuation of Gaza City by October 7 and then occupy it. According to satellite images, the Israeli military has already begun to mass forces and equipment near the Gaza border. Netanyahu's plan has faced resistance from the military since heavy Israeli troop casualties are expected, and the Israeli captives in Gaza will likely be harmed or killed during the offensive. Thousands of Israelis are protesting against the planned escalation, and the families of the hostages are calling for a diplomatic deal to free their relatives. Despite the risks and the daily slaughter and starvation in Gaza, the Trump administration is backing whatever Netanyahu decides to do. President Trump has decided not to intervene and to let the Israeli government make its own decisions. It remains to be seen if Israel will achieve any of its goals, as Hamas will likely continue to wage an insurgency against the IDF, which will cost Israeli lives and affect public opinion within Israel, which is already divided. U.S. President Donald Trump announced an additional 25% tariff on India over its purchase of Russian crude oil, bringing the total tariff to 50%. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government fired back after the announcement, saying the purchases are necessary for the nation's energy security, and blasted Trump for singling out India when other countries are also buying Russian oil. India's foreign minister said his country began importing from Russia because traditional supplies were diverted to Europe after the outbreak of the conflict. The targeting of India is unjustified and unreasonable, his ministry said in a statement. We reiterate that these actions are unfair, unjustified, and unreasonable, a spokesperson for the Ministry of External Affairs said in a statement. India will take all actions necessary to protect its national interests. The day after the announcement, the Indian Prime Minister announced he will be visiting China. For the first time in 7 years, Modi will personally go to China for a summit of the multilateral Shanghai Cooperation Organization that begins on August 31st. India is correct that Europe continues to buy Russian LNG because it needs it, but nobody has made a real fuss about this. India similarly needs access to cheap Russian energy, probably even more than Europe because it is a developing economy. However, the US and Europe's stance is that for India, this is not allowed. The US position is puzzling because in the grand US-China competition, the US is in desperate need of India to be on its side. Unless there is a well-hidden, cunning US-India plan, all Trump's actions will do is push India into the Sino-Russian camp. The leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan signed a peace agreement at the White House, in a deal brokered by the U.S. that brings decades of conflict to an end. The two countries in the South Caucasus signed agreements with each other, as well as the U.S. that will reopen key transportation routes while allowing the U.S. to meddle on Russia's borders in the region. The deal includes an agreement that will create a major transit corridor to be named the Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity. Donald Trump said that naming the route after him was a great honor for me, but I didn't ask for this. The two nations have been locked in conflict for nearly 4 decades as they fought for control of the Nagorno-Karabakh region. The area was largely populated by Armenians during the Soviet era, but is located within Azerbaijan. The two nations battled for control of the region through multiple violent clashes that left tens of thousands of people dead over the decades, all while international mediation efforts failed. Most recently, Azerbaijan reclaimed all of Karabakh in 2023 and had been in talks with Armenia to normalize ties. Both Armenia's and Azerbaijan's leaders said the breakthrough was made possible by Trump and his team, and joined a growing list of foreign leaders and other officials who have said Trump should receive the Nobel Peace Prize. The signing of a deal between Armenia and Azerbaijan, both former Soviet republics, also strikes a geopolitical blow to their former imperial master, Russia. Throughout the nearly 4-decade conflict, Moscow played mediator to expand its clout in the strategic South Caucasus region, but it's now bogged down in Ukraine, which the U.S. is taking full advantage of.